you one thing, if a little green man pops out of me, I'm shooting first and asking questions later.
You are on the verge of destroying the entire universe.
Welcome to the Strange Podcast with Sam and Logan.
If you enjoy the show, please go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you're listening, and please give us a good rating. If you want to share a story or have ideas for a future episode, you're welcome to visit us at www.thestrangepodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome to The Strange Podcast. This is episode 17, and I'm Logan Marks.
I'm Sam Baxter. Today's February 4th, 2018.
Today we're going to be talking about reincarnation and skinwalkers.
Skinwalkers are scary.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing that's not is congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles that won the Super Bowl over the New England Patriots, 41-33.
I don't watch it. Yeah, shit. I'm not going to pretend I do.
That's fine.
I did watch the... I did go on YouTube and watch the commercials.
Oh, did you? What was your favorite commercial?
I think the Eminem one. I love Danny DeVito.
That was a good commercial. That was funny. When he got wasted by that bus, he got fucked up. Yeah. That was pretty good.
You're still fat and bald.
Yeah, I know. He's acting like he's all the best. You're still fat and bald. Yeah, there was some some pretty good commercials, but it was a good game. It was a tough one, and it was in Minnesota for the first time in that new stadium. And I'll tell you one thing that was kind of odd about Minnesota. So I guess every year they have a ice fishing contest. It's called the Brainerd JC's $150,000 ice fishing extravaganza.
So did they do this before the Super Bowl?
No, because this is the first time the Super Bowl's been in Minnesota. So.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, this thing's been going on for years. It's pretty popular. It's a bunch of ice fishing, and they think. And guess what? I mean, I guess you could cheat at tests. You could cheat at games. You could cheat at everything you want. But I guess in ice fishing, this is pretty competitive. And a father-son duo allegedly cheated at ice fishing to win the $150,000 prize.
How did you cheat at ice fishing?
So they think what the people there think, the organizers think that there's 12,000 anglers there that are fishing, and they usually the people who put on the show, they the night before they go and they cut holes in the ice so that when the guys come in that they're ready to they could just pick a hole, right? It's kind of like free for all, pick a hole, start fishing from there. So they think that maybe some of the people the night before were going to certain holes that they were going to pick. And they marked them that they knew, and they would maybe put stuffing fish under the holes, under the ice, maybe in nets. So
okay.
So then the next day they were going, and they'd be fishing. There's so many guys that are fishing that they can't monitor everybody. So then they could just be, the officials could just be around and watching, walking around checking out everybody, and as they're not looking, they go, oh look, I picked up another fish, a heavy fish, right? And they had the most and the most weight. So for some reason they feel like it's fishy, and it's not the first time it's happened there. But I guess
I just imagine one of the fishermen go in and they have this long ass fish in his pant legs.
I know.
And he's just all trying to shake it off into the hole.
I know. It's all in his jacket. He's all buffed. He all looks like Lou Ferrigno as the Incredible Hulk. What do you got in there?
I'm eating a lot of fish protein.
I know. I'm just naturally strong. So, yeah, these guys, man, I guess they fucking, it's for money, right? You win money, but I guess I think they're pretty sure that they were cheating. And they're saying the next year they're going to have to set up more type of, maybe cameras and things like that.
Yeah, it's I'm surprised they just don't set up cameras all over the place.
Maybe it's been too trusting, right? They figured that everyone was winning honestly. And
but if you're dealing with money, I mean, no one's really gonna be honest.
I know. Yeah, right. If there's a way to win money without having to earn it, you're gonna fucking do it.
Yeah, there's gonna be some assholes gonna ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, speaking about fishy, there's this there's Christian bloggers warning those that practicing yoga is basically playing with a Ouija board.
Wait. Yoga is equivalent to the Ouija board?
Yeah, because when you perform all the stands and moves and stuff.
Yeah.
And you try to get into the kind of a trance. He says that it lets demonic possession take over.
No shit.
Yeah, so he says you're playing with fire. So
wait, is it because hot yoga or just regular yoga? I can see with hot yoga, baby.
Any kind of yoga, man.
Damn.
It's yoga hell. So the guy's name is Matt Walsh.
Right.
And he says he puts a thing on his Twitter. He's like, it's kind of amazing to see see all of the Christians who think nothing of doing the yoga class. There are many excellent ways to get in shape, but that do not involve participating in Hindu worship.
Hindu worship?
Yeah.
Oh shit, man! If there's talk about people stealing and cheating to get money, if there's a way to like fucking put God into the fear of God into people, they're gonna do it with yoga. I don't know. Girls in yoga pants. If that's where hell's at, I'd probably go to hell too because. Oh, with all the women in yoga pants. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a place to be.
Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I mean, yeah, if that's hell, man, that's not so bad. maybe he went to so many yoga pants, like he was like just some fucking pervert, and the girls weren't having it. So I God damn you to hell. You know.
I was watching this video where there's this one video where this chick, she's like this guy's watching this girl do yoga, and she's doing it with her dog, and she's like doing all these crazy ass positions, and the dog's just like sitting on her back and like totally working with her, and he's like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then you see a video of him, the guy's he's out in his backyard trying to do yoga with his dog, and his dog, every position he moves, his dog's fucking jumping on him trying to fuck him. And he's out there like he's trying all the different poses, and the dog's like all fucking his head and like fucking the back of his legs. Oh man, it's so funny.
So is he? What does he have, like a piece of bacon in his pants or something? Like what's the deal?
No, but apparently his dog was just fucking horny. But man, it was funny.
So he thought he could recreate it, all the glory of the yoga with the dog, and the dog was trying to had no part of that. They wanted a part of him.
It was all humping him. Oh man, it was hilarious.
Man, speaking of weird animals, man, you know, because we've seen a lot of movies like when they always talk about like people who have pig farms. You know, you got to be careful for them, right? Because usually you can get rid of bodies with you know, people who have pig farms. You can just get rid of the bodies with pigs, right? Because they'll eat everything.
Yeah.
Well, this in South Africa, some lady, she like rescued a pig from a slaughterhouse a few years ago, and they kind of like it was kind of hurt, so she was nursing it back. And she gave it like some toys, some paintbrushes, and you know, just stuff to like maybe just kind of make it feel happy. I guess I don't know why. I'm not really a pure somebody into like nursing animals. I don't know much about that, but she gave it things like that. Well, the pig became fascinated with the paintbrushes and ignored everything else. So she left out some paint and the canvas, and just to see what the pig would do. Well, the paint started like basically painting, like marking all over the canvas, kind of like making like art. So now this pig
the pig was making art?
Yes. Now I'm not an artist either, so I don't know why this goes for art, but it goes for like $2,000 a canvas. People,
what the fuck is it painting?
It's painting of like just a bunch of fucking marks with different colors. I mean, I don't know, and so people are dubbing this pig Picasso. Not Picasso, but Pigasso.
Pigasso.
So, this pig's making this lady like $2,000. Yeah. He's got a name now. He's got an alias. Picasso. so this fucking pig will pick up the paintbrush.
It looks like. Okay, I'm looking at a picture of it, and that doesn't look like fucking art.
It doesn't look like that, man. I don't know why people would pay for that shit, man.
I've had my daughter like write. It looks the same like my daughter would write on the wall when we tell her not to play with the paints, and the next minute she'll figure painting all over the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it looks like.
But because it's probably a fucking pig, the people are paying like $2,000 for this shit. They're so impressed. I'm not an artist. I'm not looking down on them. I just don't understand any of this shit. But $2,000 for like these pictures, and it doesn't paint like every day. It's got to be in its mood, right? It's got to be in it. So the pig will paint what he does, and they fucking make some money off that.
So, he's a diva too, then.
Yeah. So kudos to the lady for saving the pig, and for exploiting it for fucking $2,000 a picture. About so you go, girl.
I bet you she's just like just scribbling shit all over the canvas and.
Well, there's pictures of it doing it. I mean,
there's video.
Yeah, there's videos of it doing that. So I mean, again, I still wouldn't buy it. I don't fucking have no desire for it.
You wouldn't pay $2,000 for a pig picture.
Fuck no, man! I don't pay $2,000 for anything. Maybe my credit card bill, but that's it. But I don't pay no money.
That'd be one charming pig.
Yeah, no, I'm not paying for that, man. I'm not that rich. I don't have that problem yet, so I can't pay for that shit. I can't justify that.
So I was reading an article in the Daily Mail about internet porn addiction could be putting your brain health at risk.
Internet porn addiction?
Yeah, internet porn addiction. So viewers of racy images on the internet could be putting their brain at risk, as it could cause serious headaches.
Serious headaches?
Says Taiwanese neurologist.
What?
Brain scans? Yeah, brain scans from a 40-year-old married man who regularly looks at such images shows activity in areas of the brain that are associated with pain.
Pain, not stimulation, is happiness?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. So rather than those associated with sexual activity. So one theory is that in some people, viewing pornography triggers an increase in nerve sensitivity, which can increase blood flow to the brain, causing pain.
So what if he's just, how does he know he's watching porn and he's not just like fucking his wife like every day? How does he know that one's or not the other? Why is he saying it's porn?
Why is the porn doing it?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what the Daily Mail says.
Oh, man. Good old Daily Mail never lies. God, man. How can they publish this shit?
So, like, yeah, you're right. It's the same thing. If he was just, like, having sex with his wife, it'd be stimulating.
Yeah, what if it was every day and then he's like, hey, I see that you're having sex too much. You need to cut that off. It's like...
You need to break it off.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Man, some of the shit that we have to... some of these fucking...
It's probably from, like some Christian right study where it's all... trying to get people to stop watching porn.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of like some senators are saying, I think in like Utah, they were saying that they wanted to get porn banned because it was like ruining like families and ruining like just being a man,
Yeah,
being a proper man. It was just like ruining people.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about you, but I'm not in concurrence. One thing I was reading, again, this is kind of weird, is I know we're all familiar with the Nazca lines of Peru, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for those who don't know, the Nazca lines are a bunch of lines that were like written like in the ground that people saw later in life, and there's like as people started flying, they were able to see like certain shapes, like one that looks
like a picture of a
like an astronaut, a guy in an astronaut hat, or like a bird or a spider. These are really big lines.
Is there one like of a monkey?
Yeah, something like stuff like that. I mean, they think it's a man, in an astronaut helmet. Mm-hmm. So they think that humans were like pleasing gods, which were probably aliens coming down from outer space. Mm-hmm. So they drew these pictures that were like either like maybe pleasing to them, right?
I remember watching this one documentary where this guy was saying that they knew how to make these hot air balloons at the time.
Oh, really?
And they would build them for like the like the leaders of the society or whatever.
Oh, impressive.
And so they were able to make these air balloons, and that's why they have those designs on there, because those guys would float up.
They were doing that as like appreciation or for them.
Yeah, so they would do this, would make those pictures on the sand and stuff, and then he would go in his little air balloon and fly up so he could take a look at them and stuff
and be impressed. Well, regardless, so they're pretty cool. They look pretty nice. They look pretty awesome, and they're like supposed to be like nobody's supposed to fuck with them, right? They're supposed to be protected. So I guess authorities in Peru have detained a truck driver accused of damaging part of the world-renowned Nazca lines. The nation's Ministry of Culture says Javier Flores drove an unauthorized section of the UN heritage site on Saturday, leaving tracks and damaging part of 3 lines. This guy drove over the lines that fucked up these lines that have been around between like 1500 and 2000 years old. And so I think this guy is gonna get some deep shit.
Should we just go 4x4 and over him?
Yeah, I know. He's just like, come on, boy, fucking drinking and shit.
There's some redneck down there.
I know. All the Dodge Rams.
I don't live anywhere without my Toyota truck.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. This guy though, he got in some shit. I don't know what he was doing down there, and these things are supposed to be protected, but whoever was watching over them, the fucking wasn't doing their job either.
Man, you gotta be a fucking asshole to go and like drive over that shit, because that's like history shit. That's like a...
It's part of the world that somebody did a long time ago that's kind of, it's pretty cool. And it's old. It's really old.
Yeah, it's like drawing like mustaches on the presidents of the Mount Rushmore. This is why would you do that?
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, and so it doesn't say if he did it on purpose or not. I mean, for all we know, he could have been high, or maybe he was just lost. But I know
cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, cocaine's a hell of a drug, motherfucker. Well, you do know we have an opioid problem, right? So maybe this guy was on opioids.
That's probably what it is. Well,
so
What are you gonna do, huh?
Yeah, you gotta. Hopefully hopefully it's not too damaged, because those are pretty cool.
I always thought it was cool because what if it was aliens that they're actually building that for? Because I know there's a couple of spots where they had like landing strips.
Oh, really?
And they thought that that's where like the aliens would come and like land in like.
Well, I remember back in the '80s, like watching Unsolved Mysteries, they used to think that. Remember all those crop circles? They used to think those were aliens landing. They're like, oh my god, these crops are not even, the crops aren't even broken. This can't be man-made. No way. This has to be something from outer space. And then like 5 years later, it showed these guys. Yep, we're doing it.
Yeah, it was like two guys with like 2x4s and rope.
And all these special scientists like, nope, look at this. I can't believe something came down and it wouldn't break the plants. If there was a real, ship coming down, they would have burned this. It was all this stuff. I was like, oh my god, this is fucking amazing. And then you find out it's just a couple guys, this is what we're doing, and it's making people look. So why not? It's like,
yeah, it's weird that people still don't believe that it's them.
They don't?
Yeah, there's still people that believe that that's aliens.
Oh, really?
The crop circles. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm over those. I was that kind of when those guys came out and did that. I was like, all right, if these guys
when they first did it, it was interesting because like no one has ever seen it before.
No, exactly.
And it's like, oh man, maybe there is like, well, I don't know. It's like why would they come and like make fucking shapes in the crops?
I know, right?
But still, it was just mysterious,
It was because at the time when they had their specialists look at it, there's no way it could have been man-made, right? So it was like it was like the best evidence. Well, not the best, but it was some really good evidence of aliens coming down and visiting. So I was like, holy shit, this shit's crazy. And then, like I said, when those guys came out, it's like, it's like the Loch Ness Monster. Remember that picture that was like grayed out and you could see like a head?
Oh yeah, and
it was like the best picture of the Loch Ness Monster. And it was like that for like 50, 60 years. And then the guy was on his deathbed like 7, 10 years, like 12 years ago. And he's like, yeah, that was fake. We just, it was like a fucking mop in a sheet, and me and my buddy took that picture. I was like, but a lot of people won't accept that. Like, nope, I know there's something there.
Yeah.
If you've seen it and you believe that, so be it. I'm not knocking on you. But stuff like that just kind of like deflates the air out of my sails. Like, I'm not going to put that much of attention into that anymore. Just like crop circles. You know what? They look cool, but I'm not going to really follow them.
So you got anything about reincarnation for us?
It's weird that you asked that. So I was like looking into that, and I remember, like I said, back on Unsolved Mysteries a long time ago, I remember there being a story about a kid really young being afraid of water, and it turned out he was saying that he had been like in a submarine because this kid would not get in any water at all, not even in a bathtub. Like if there was like an inch of water in there, he would not get in. He was always freaking out. And I remember the story very vaguely, so I kind of did some more looking into if there's been anything else like that. So I found a couple stories that I thought were interesting because, a lot of religions believe that there's reincarnation, that once you die, you'll come back eventually later, right? And then some people believe is like what type of life you lead will determine what you are in the next one. Like maybe if you were like some shithead in this one, you might come back as like maybe a caterpillar, something.
Yeah, like you'd move up and down the chain of animals, I guess.
Yeah, you're not gonna come back as like some prince.
Not even the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, there's been a lot of people are not sure of what happens when that's one of the biggest mysteries is what happens after you die, and people believe that some of these stories that I was reading about are kind of odd, where people believe that maybe you do come back, reincarnation. And one of the first stories that I was reading about was some kid named Luke Willman. And this is some 2-year-old kid from Cincinnati. A lot of these stories are kids who are very young. So how a lot of times, people, they say that you're more susceptible to things when you're young. Maybe you see ghosts. Maybe you see, things that older adults, who understand how things work, and your brain's not as impressionable. It usually happens to like young kids who are like younger, who are like 2-3 years old. So this 2-year-old kid from Cincinnati, his parents kind of felt he was always a little bit weird, a little more weird than normal, where like he would be really fussy about like safety at home, right? Like whether like drinks were too hot or too cold, home invasions, crossing the street. These are things that like a 2-year-old would not really.
Yeah, they don't really think about that stuff.
No, it's not part of anything they think about at all. And eventually this 2-year-old kid, this Luke, he became obsessed with the name Pam. And he would make comments like, hey, I had hair like that, or I had earrings like that. And his parents were like, what the fuck? And so they were getting weirded out, and they kept asking him, like what's this thing about Pam? And he said, one day he said, quote, well, I used to be, but I died, and I went to heaven, and I saw God, and eventually God pushed me back down. When I woke up, I was a baby, and you named me Luke, unquote. So they were like, what?
So is Pam like the person he used to be?
Exactly. So they pressed him on that a little bit further, and they asked him how did Pam die? He looked at his mom and he said it was a fire, and he made a motion like he was a hand jumping off a building, like he had like a toy and he
he had jumped she had to jump.
He had jumped off. Yeah, and the mom was like still like what the fuck. So he said that Pam died in a tall building. And when he was Pam, he used to travel around on train and walk around a lot in Chicago. And so the mom was still like, still kind of like freaked out, kind of weirded out about it. And the boy Luke also told his mom that Pam was a black woman. So finally, the mom got online and did some searches around, like, old fires, big fires in Chicago. And she found one that happened to be about the Paxton Hotel in 1993 in Chicago. So there was a list of casualties, and in the casualties there was a 30-year-old black woman named Pam Robinson who had been caught in the hotel fire.
Oh, shit.
So the parents wanted to verify and test them, right? So they were able to obtain a photo of Pam, and they mixed her in with like a bunch of other photos. They put all the photos in front of him, and he goes, well, I don't recognize anybody, but I remember when this one was taken, and he pointed at the picture of Pam.
So he would see the picture and he recognized himself in that picture.
Exactly. The parents, they're not religious or anything, and they didn't make any money off the story. They found it really baffling. And eventually, he just kind of forgot about it as he got older. Like, none of it ever happened. In his mind, none of it ever happened. It was really kind of odd, like after he died, the whole God thing. Like, if there's a lot of people that this happens with, I wonder why a lot of people don't believe it or remember it. Like, what if we're in our 5th lives right now, right? You and I, everybody who's listening, or we're in our 10th or whatever. Like, why don't we remember anything else? I just don't. Some of that to me is very interesting. It doesn't really make sense. Another story that I was reading about was a boy named Carl Eden, and he was born in England in 1972. And this kid had memories of being a World War II fighter pilot. And the parents said that this kid was difficult. He didn't look like his siblings at all. He looked completely different. Like, everyone else was brunette, brown eyes, and he was strawberry blonde with blue eyes. So it's not a big deal, right? I mean, there can always be one kid that looks like maybe a grandparent or a great grandparent, right? It's not that big of a deal. At the age of 3, he was claiming the following things: that he lived another life as a fighter pilot, and he had been killed when his plane crashed during a bombing mission over England. And he had talked about his previous mother, that she was a plump woman who had her hair like in a bun. He just kind of described her. And so before the age of 5, he was drawing pictures of like the instrument panel of the cockpit and described like which buttons he would push to release bombs. And he said he flew a Messerschmitt 110. So the dad did research. He was like, this is really interesting. Like, I don't know if I believe this, but I'm just going to look into it. So he did some research, and he thought he was going to prove his son wrong, that there was no plane like that, no Messerschmitt. But he eventually he did like some further digging, and he found that there was a plane like that. And the parents were like, that's weird how he has all these thoughts and all these, like, he's real imaginative, and they don't understand why, because they didn't have any books on World War II. They didn't watch movies. For one, they didn't watch movies, and for other, they didn't watch any. If they did, none of them were about the wars, about World War II. So they didn't understand where he was getting all this from. So they eventually watched a movie, a German movie, after a little bit of time, like when he was 5 still, and they watched the movie. And they had like German soldiers, actors in the movies, but he was telling them like, no, that's not the way the uniforms are. The metal should be over here, like so many inches below, the cuff, the collar, and this and that. You know, he was like pointing out things that were wrong about it. And the parents thought that's fucking weird. So they looked into that too, and they found out that he was right. You know, obviously the movie's not it's not gonna be 100% 1-to-1, but he was right. How the medals, how everything should have been on the uniform. So he eventually described how he died.
Well, like he had known from personal experience.
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly it. So eventually he described how he died. He said he was flying at low altitude and he passed out. And when he finally came to, he crashed into a building and his leg got cut up. It got cut off actually. So he lost his leg from the accident and he bled to death. So he told his brother, he told his brother he wasn't gonna live a long life, and when he did die, he would bleed to death. So they thought, fuck, that's weird, but okay, whatever. So when he was 22, he got stabbed and he bled to death by a coworker. So he did die young. So not too far from where he was buried, excavators, they found like a World War II German bomber plane, and there was a few remains of the crew in there. So the pilot's name in there was Heinrich Victor, and that Heinrich Victor died. He was the same age as Carl Eden. They died at the same age, both 22. And near the dead pilot, they found a ring with the letter P. And Carl had claimed, that he had a brother named Peter. So they think that those were the same people. The parents think that they ended up burying that body, the Heinrich Victor, in that same cemetery. So the family thinks that they basically buried two sons there, not just their one. They think that he was again reincarnated because he had all these memories and all these thoughts of everything.
Like he just knew too much.
He knew too much. It didn't make sense. And how he knew. I mean, you're 5 years old. These 5-year-olds aren't supposed to know a lot of these things like that. That's what was really odd. And this last one that I also thought was really weird was this 4-year-old boy named Edward Austrian. And this kid, this is a shorter story, but he had a phobia of damp, rainy weather. And he had always said that he had a pain in his throat. And he always referred to the pain as the shot. He always called it the shot when he's telling his mommy, "Oh, the shot hurts. I got the shots, irritating me." Yeah. And his mom didn't think anything of it, right? He's like, okay, So when he was 4, he developed a cyst in his throat, which the doctors couldn't explain why the cyst was there. So they removed his tonsils. And after they removed them, Edward, he started to divulge his past life. And he said he was an 18-year-old soldier named James who fought in the trenches of a war. And he told his mom he was killed when a bullet struck him in the throat. And after he told his mom that, the cyst just ended up disappearing without any reason. Doctors never knew why. It was just gone. And then he just snapped out of it. Yeah, and he snapped out of it and it was gone. There's no more memories. But again,
they fixed the Matrix.
Maybe, yeah. So I just don't. The things that are weird about this is, I can understand, like I said, if you're a full-grown adult and you have these thoughts, you have all these things that you could have learned, right, from reading books, watching movies. But when you're young, like a small child, I mean, when the kids are that young, they only know what you tell them. And if you don't tell them or show them anything like that, I don't know where they're getting these thoughts and memories from. To me, that's baffling.
With little kids, they pick up a lot of weird shit, and it could always be like the parents just telling them stuff, to try to make a story go on, or try to get, it could go either way. I mean, it sounds like really interesting. I think it'd be amazing if it was a true story, but I always think that they're like embellished, or like some of the parents are just doing this for notoriety, to get sensationalized so they can make money.
That's what like I said, the first one, they didn't make any money. They're not religious. They didn't make any money off it at all. The only reason it became out is because they ended up contacting a doctor because they wanted some help. They didn't know what was going on. A doctor wrote it in his book, and somebody else read that, and they picked up on it like what the hell? Like, what is this? So then they went back and investigated, and they talked to the parents later. But for all the years, the parents didn't make any money. They wanted help because they didn't know what to expect, right? Your kid's baffling off about some past lifetime from a woman who died in the fire, and you don't know what to expect. They didn't make any money off it.
I know, but the doctor did.
He did. Okay, but he did. I know that. But they if they contacted him,
maybe there was something else that was wrong with him, but that doctor just kind of threw that in there to kind of help out his pocketbook, you know. And he convinced these parents that that's what was wrong with him when it really might have not have been the case.
That makes sense, but if when they come to the parents and the parents validate it, then that nullifies that. Because the parents didn't make any money off it. Why would they make something up to a doctor and the doctor doesn't pay them anything? They're actually paying the doctor to help them.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying it could have been the doctor doing it, and I don't even know if they didn't make money. And they could be just saying that. To me, I don't know, that's just what I feel.
Yeah, obviously anything could be made up. I get that, but I mean, if it's true, and these kids who are really young are talking about things that they shouldn't have any business knowing, that's what's really weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it would be cool to be able to find something out about it, like if they can go deeper into it. Just like the fact that he was looking at the pictures and he recognized that the lady
exactly,
which is kind of creepy. But like
he knew, like he's like, yeah, that was me.
I'm kind of skeptical about that stuff because I don't know, like, this, because I'm pretty sure, like, to me I always feel like they embellish the stories.
I understand. It makes sense. Yeah, it could totally be embellished. Again, like I said, if not, I think it's pretty weird. It's pretty crazy. Because the one I saw on Unsolved Mysteries.
So it reminds me of that Roy game on the Rick and Morty, where they play that like a life, and they have to live through that Roy's life, and then you come back. And then you come back.
That's possible. Yeah, exactly. And so those of us who are in the game, how do you explain it when you kind of like step out of it? You go into the third person, like these kids. Yeah, I was somebody else. And everyone's like, what the fuck? That's not possible. You came from me. You were born from your mom and dad. Mm-hmm. Why are you able to, remember these other stories from other people that you knew nothing about? And that's the only thing that's weird. Like, what if the people in the game, what if they became conscious and they knew that they were not, like in Matrix, right? Once he recognized that he was part of a game, he was able to, jump and fly and all that shit. And just, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's really weird how the reincarnation can work. So
do most of these kids, when they get older,
no,
do they still remember that?
It goes away. They have no recollection of ever saying any of that stuff.
Oh, that's what's kind of
they don't like, you ask them later and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Nope, I never said that. But when they were really small, like I said, like they say, like I've known people who have said, like, yeah, my kid said that they were upstairs. They were like 2 or 3 years old, up in their room, and when I go and check on them, they were talking to somebody. It's like, who are you talking to? Oh, I was talking to the older lady. And like, older lady? There's nobody else that lives here, just your mom and I. I said, yeah, she comes in every night. She comes and tells me a story. This is what a coworker told me one time, and with their daughter. And so he was like, he thought, didn't think anything of it. Was like, all right, imaginary friend, big deal. So as time went on, like maybe like a month or two, it was happening all the time, and they ended up opening. They were like looking at family photos, like they were putting some photos in, and the baby was there with them, the little daughter, and the daughter's like saw a picture of the mom's grandma. She's like, that's the lady that tells me all the stories every night. And they're like,
oh yeah,
we've never showed you this picture before, so. Yeah, every night she tells me that, and then they said later on, like after she got to like 3 or 4, she stopped talking about that, and and then they asked her later, like, do you remember any of this? She's like, no. Like, you don't remember somebody telling you a story every night? Nope. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I had no recollection of ever having that the woman coming and telling them stories. So that's what I'm saying. That's the thing that's weird, is it's something in their mind when they're really young and impressionable. And obviously, if you're gonna show them movies, they can always that can go in their mind. But if you don't show them things like the friend, they never showed the grandma she never saw a picture of the grandma, her great grandma. But that's the woman that she said was telling her stories.
I find it pretty interesting, but like I still get kind of skeptical about that kind of stuff.
You don't know if the parents are telling them stuff.
You know if the parents tell the truth, or like
exactly,
or even then they're always like, oh, he's never seen.
I know,
scary movie.
I get that.
But they let somebody else babysit them or whatever, and they might have watched something then.
It's totally possible. But then again, like I said, some of them, I thought the one that was weird was, like I said, the coworker with a friend with their the grandmother. I thought that was weird. because like she had never seen the grandmother, so I don't know how. Now I know skeptics. I've listened to other shows. They say that hey, your brain can just make that up, no problem. Hey, I'm not a doctor of about brains or anything like that. So I guess it is totally possible. But if you can make up somebody in your mind that is actually really true, that was part of your family, shit, I guess so. But I don't know much about that to have a good comment. I just think it's really odd.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's an interesting story because I always like those stories because it makes you think.
Yeah, like
maybe there
exactly
is
like was there
side.
really life after death? And that, like I was saying at first, why do we not remember any of that? Are we not supposed to? Is it supposed to be so horrible? That's why a lot of people who like animals, some people like believe that animals do have souls because they were probably humans in another lifetime, right? So I've heard that before too. So I don't know. I don't understand. Like I said, some religions say that you come back as another human. Some say you kind of reap what you sow and you come back as, whatever are in the next life. And there's some people who, probably the people that say that porn is bad, that yoga is demonic, probably say that all this is bullshit. So what do you have in store for us today?
Today I'm going to be talking about the lore of the skinwalker. In many Native American legends, a skinwalker is a person with the ability to turn into a creature, whatever creature they want, using their supernatural powers. The Navajo have some of the best documented lore about the skinwalkers, or what they call them is Yi Nalushi. In their lore are people who get their supernatural powers by breaking cultural taboos. For them to gain this power, they have to perform a ceremonial dance and song. And in some of the stories of these witches and stuff, what they have to do like horrible things to gain this power. Like I said, like they have to break really, really bad taboos from their culture, like killing someone who's a really close relative, or have incest with the family, or necrophilia.
Jesus.
Yeah, to do anything to get against any of the morals of their culture. They want to cause a person to destroy any kind of humanity they have left within them.
Oh, gotcha.
Allowing them, so this allows them to fully become initiated in the way of the witchery.
Damn. So they gotta destroy their own life in order to embrace the next one.
Yeah, so they gotta basically become evil.
Dang.
In order to gain these powers. So once they cross the line, they're able to transform into any animal they choose. Some say they also have the ability to steal a face from a person to use a disguise, or they can also lock onto a person's eyes and absorb themselves into that person's body, so they can like take over your body. Some they say can read thoughts. They also have the ability to replicate voices to like lure victims in.
Really?
Yeah. Skinwalkers also use spells and charms to instill fear or control their victims. They like to carry like assortment of weapons, like fragments of human bone that they launch with like blowguns, and it contains poisons, and they use that to like either like to paralyze their victims or even kill them.
So if they were that strong with all that magic and everything, why would they need blow darts? Why not just get a gun?
This is supposed to be like an older tribe. This is probably like
a couple hundred years old or something, a few hundred years.
So okay.
So
that's just one of the things they like to carry around.
Okay.
And they also like to use people's belongings for like ceremonial rituals so they can curse their victim.
Jeez.
So, and they usually when people see them, they usually describe them like as they look like men sometimes, but they have like pelts of a lot of animals. Like back in the olden days, like when like cowboy and Indian times. But nowadays you don't really hear that much as far as like what they look like. They usually look like either like werewolves now, or like if you see if they're in human form, they're just like they look human, but they're a lot hairier.
Oh really? Like a Bigfoot?
No, just like a hairy dude.
Oh, I gotcha. Hey, why'd you get a shower and a shave, motherfucker? Okay.
So I have some stories that I found that some people have, they claim to have some experiences with the skinwalker. So Sammy and his two younger cousins, Jason and Robert, were out hiking somewhere in northern New Mexico. They spent the day exploring and decided to head back before it got dark. As they hiked back, Jason, who had never been to New Mexico before, asked if they had ever heard or had seen a skinwalker. So Robert, who had grown up in the area, got upset and told Jason not to bring them up because it draws the skinwalker's attention. So Jason, he laughs it off because he decided he doesn't believe in that shit. He's thinks it's nonsense. But Sammy and Robert become pretty upset. So they don't think it's funny. So he's like, all right, I'm just gonna shut up about it. So they continue hiking back to Sammy's truck when Sammy starts getting this uneasy feeling like something's watching them. So as they go on, Jason and Robert are suddenly, they stop too, and they start looking around in the trees, and they both claim they saw something about pretty good size peering at them, but it dodged into the wilderness. So they were like, what the hell was that? So Sammy was already feeling like something wasn't right, but didn't want to freak out his own younger cousins. So he just told them that it was in their heads, and they were they need to they're just psyching themselves out.
Yeah, just keep cool.
Yeah, so he tried to keep it cool. He says, it's like you're just freaking out because Jason brought up the skinwalker. So let's not talk about it anymore. Let's just get going. Let's start getting out of here because it's starting to get dark. So as they follow the trail back, they're starting to hear like noises in the bush as if something's like following them. So they decided to pick up their pace. And by the time they get to Sammy's truck, they're pretty much almost like running to the truck. So they get to the truck, and then they realize that one of the tires had been slashed.
Oh shit!
By something that looked like it still looked like something like it was an animal, like animal claws had ripped it.
Oh fuck!
So they're like freaking out now. They're scared out of their minds. So Sammy tries to keep a cool head. He pulls out a pistol and he gives it to Robert, and he tells him, "Okay, you keep guard and you shoot anything that comes towards us, and me and Jason are gonna try to fix this tire." So they go at it. They're trying to fix the tire and put the spare back on. And as they go about changing the flat, the sun starts going down and it starts losing light. Mm-hmm. And Robert's getting nervous, and he starts pointing the pistol like everywhere. He's all ready to shoot at anything that comes out, And all of a sudden, everything gets really quiet. So there's no birds chirping, there's no insects, there's not one sound of nature.
Damn. Too quiet.
So it gets too quiet. So this gets all their attention. They start looking around. They're like, what the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden, they can hear a soft sound of a baby crying from the bushes a few yards away.
Fuck that.
Yeah, so they're like, oh shit, And then from another direction, they can hear the sound of a woman calling out for Jason. And it's like, Jason, help me. And Jason's like forgetting all hysterical, and he starts repeating, "That's my mom. That's my mom." And Sammy and Robert, they watch Jason as he's walking towards the voice. Well, they knew that Jason's mom had died like a year ago in a car accident. Mm-hmm. So Jason, he responds back. He starts screaming out, "Mom, is that you?" And he starts like walking out towards the wilderness, in the bushes and stuff. So Sammy grabs Jason and he tries to pull it back, and he drags him desperately, trying to get him into the truck. And he convinces him, "That's not your mom. That's not your mom. You need to calm down." So he sits him in the truck and he closes the door, and he sits him in the truck and he closes the door. And while he's doing that, Robert's like firing at where the sounds are coming from. Sammy and Robert, they go back to the tire because they're almost done with it. They just need to get the tire back on. So one of them's keeping guard and the other one's like putting the lug nuts on. And it's starting to get darker, and the noises are still going on while they're doing this. Mm-hmm. They get the tire changed, and they start to the truck. And while Sammy's walking, he can see like in his peripheral vision, he could see like coyotes, or like he could see like large hairy creatures with these red eyes in the bushes. There
was many of them? There was more?
Yeah, he said there was a couple of them.
Oh shit.
So they both get in and they drive off as fast as they can, While Sammy's driving off, Robert and Jason, they're looking to the back and they see these dog-like creatures. They look like dogs, but they're standing upright, coming out from the trees, and then they're watching them drive away.
Damn.
That was pretty creepy. So then I have this other story. It's a pretty short one. There's this guy, he went camping. He likes to go camping by himself. He went up for the hike to his favorite place, and he sets up his camp, gets his gear all ready. So he spends most of the day, he's out there fishing at the lake, and the whole time he has this weird feeling that someone's watching him. He doesn't think, he knows he's not alone. So he's like doing stuff throughout the day, and he's just kind of like looking around. He feels there's something there.
Sure.
So he goes through the day, and then all of a sudden it starts getting dark. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna get my stuff ready. He puts his sleeping bag out, and he wants to sleep out in the wilderness.
Jeez, fucking crazy motherfucker.
So he can watch the sky, But he does this all the time. So
yeah, he's playing with fire. I got it.
So he sets up his stuff, right? And he's laying there, he's watching the sky, and he gets tired, and he falls asleep. And all of a sudden, he wakes up in the middle of the night, and it's like super dark. And so he's like, oh man, I need to take a piss. As he gets up, he feels that there's something on top, like above him. This figure over him. It's like some scary looking guy with skins and rags all over him, and he smells like shit. And he just smells awful. And like he's like staring there, like, oh, this guy's like on top of him. He's just fucking, he can't move it. But when he looks into the guy's eyes, he's like, oh my god, this. He feels that it's like pure evil.
Oh god, pure evil and shit.
Yeah, and he can't stand the smell. He's gonna throw up.
Yeah,
so he's like freaking out, but he's paralyzed. So all of a sudden he starts praying. Oh Jesus, Christ, please save me. Blah blah blah. And he's going off, and all of a sudden the thing just fucking starts screaming really loud. It's this terrible sound, and it starts taking off but like all fours, like a wild animal into the woods.
Jeez.
So he's like scared to death now, but he doesn't know what to do. So he just ends up. He says he just ends up sitting there like he got up to a tree and he had a pistol.
Yeah.
He sat there all night waiting.
Yep.
Like if anything came, he was gonna
blast it.
Yeah. So he sat there all night and he sat there until the daylight showed up. As soon as it was light, he grabbed all his things, packed it up, and he took off and he was gone.
Shit, man. He never saw any more. It didn't attack him at all, huh?
He said he didn't see any more. He just sat there all night and didn't know if it was just some crazy homeless guy. But he said the way the thing took off was basically like a wild animal. Like it was on all fours, like running like a coyote.
Was it like faster than normal? Or was it just like a normal animal running away?
No, he said it was pretty fast.
Okay, so the power of prayer worked on this one, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I mean, if you figure they're going for pure evil, I guess whatever opposite of that's gonna scare it away. I guess.
So I wonder if you could pray to Odin. Would that shit work? I mean,
spaghetti monster!
I know.
Spaghetti monster, please save me!
I know. I know. It all like defeats it. Fucking Skinwalker just dies of a heart attack because the spaghetti monster's too strong.
It's too strong
for the spaghetti god, whatever. Just fucking wipes it out. I earned these powers and I can't defeat the spaghetti monster. Spaghetti god. Man, that's crazy. So, has there ever been any stories of like anybody being attacked or like being really hurt or anything? Did you ever come across anything like that?
Most of them talk about other people, like they'll find things that were eaten or find like body parts,
like human body parts.
But yeah, or just they'll find like a bone or something, but they don't know really what it is.
Okay.
When I read through them, most of them usually got away. So that's how they told the story.
Sure.
They're probably,
yeah.
They're probably full of shit,
Yeah.
making shit up as they went.
They saw like a big raccoon and they freaked out and
turned into freaked out.
Oh my god! I almost died out there, goddamn it! Fucking, it was the biggest thing in the world.
Garbage.
I know, it was just a rabbit or something. So like the Native American lore though about it. I wonder if like is there anything with it? Like, are you supposed to like I wonder if you're like not supposed to talk about these? Are they taboo? Are they like so evil that you're not supposed to mention them? Or is there any type of way to ward them off? Did they ever say anything? Like, could you go out there with like some type of pendant or something and be totally safe
and fight them off?
Or like it just keeps them away. Was there anything like that?
No, I do remember reading one thing where like if you know who the person is and you say their name, then you will be able to kill them. They're like their powers will fade.
If you know their name, their powers
if you
will
know
fade?
who it is. Yeah, like if you know who it is.
Interesting. But these people, like you said, if they turn that way, do they live longer? Like, are they like basically immortal, or do they only have like a normal human like life expectancy?
Okay, I don't know. They never said anything about it.
I'm just wondering, like was it? That's what I'm wondering, like, right? I mean, like, could they outlive like everyone who knew them, and then nobody will ever know their name? You know what I'm saying?
Maybe, I don't know. They didn't really say anything.
Like, I was just wondering, like would they be unkillable if they outlived everyone that lived around them, and then, or if they killed them all, and then there's nobody to know.
Well, I think if you're gonna go to the point where you're like gonna like kill people or like even have incest or fuck a dead body, I mean, you think you'd want to get like immortality with it,
That's all. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's my whole thing.
So I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. I'm making a fucking judgment call.
I'm making a judgment call right now because I wouldn't do that.
I'm adding to the Navajo lore
because that would suck. Like if you did all that shit for just to change shape and then you die like 2 years later.
I know. You fucking get a splinter in your ankle and you die of something like stupid,
like an infection.
Yeah, you cut yourself and oh my god, I'm dying. But I can eat flesh. You flesh, but I can't survive fucking gangrene. Yeah, those are really interesting. I read a little bit about Navajo, about some of that lore. Yeah, I thought I had read something where there's certain like trinkets or something that you could have that could help ward them off or something. Like if you came across one, I thought I read that like you could like they'll keep coming back if you like live out there. You know, they'll keep coming back or something. Really? Yeah, like and like. Some of the Navajo have like certain trinkets or something that are like blessed or something that'll like keep them away.
Like an Ovaltine decoder ring or something.
Yeah. Something like that. But I don't know. You know, I haven't read a lot of stuff about it. But I do know like that they're supposed to be pretty evil. This seems like there's just a lot of supposed to be shit out in the forest and stuff that you're not supposed to fuck with, and they want to fuck with you, and they can.
Yeah, I know. Even if it's not like supernatural, I mean, I wouldn't want to fight a raccoon.
No, fuck no. Yeah, those things are mean, man. I remember a guy I worked with. He was telling me like at his apartment complex, they used to have like garbage cans, like actual garbage cans, you know, for their trash. You know, they threw their trash out. And he said that every once in a while, a raccoon would get in his trash can, and he'd like walk up to his trash can, he'd kind of kick it, and the thing would just be like
already kick his ass.
Like, leave me alone, got it. Yeah. And he'd be like, "Fuck that!" He goes, "I'm not gonna lifting up the lid."
I remember one time we found like a rat, and that thing almost beat the shit out of us at our old house when I was a kid.
Really?
Me and my dad were like in the barn, and we had this extra room in the barn, and we heard something in there, and we're like, "What the hell's in there?" You know, so we thought somebody stealing shit or something. So we go in there, and there's a fucking rat right there, like all just hanging out.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and my dad's like, we need to fucking kill it. It was huge. It had to be at least a foot long. And it was humongous. So I'm like, all right, I'll take the stick and just like, you know, hit it. Maybe it'll run out of the place, you know. So I take a swing, and all of a sudden that thing was all like already a 30 style box me and shit. So I'm jumping everywhere.
It'll rear it up on you.
He all like fronted me, and all like, oh shit. And me and my dad like ran out. Like,
yeah, goddamn, this thing's gonna attack us.
Yeah. Fucking rat almost kicked her ass, and then so like we threw the cat in there, like, oh, maybe this cat will be able to fight it. Oh man, that cat got its ass kicked so bad.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he kicked the cat's ass, and like we ended up having to like trick it to go into like a garbage can, and then like we put the lid on it, and then like got rid of it that way.
Oh god, man, did it almost kill the cat or what?
Oh, that cat was fucking scared. It looked like it just got beat the shit out of itself.
You should have put a dog in there, man.
Well, it was a pretty big cat, so we thought, you know, it was a cat is gonna be able to beat it.
Yeah.
You know? But the rat.
How about didn't you have a dog, D'Angelo? Couldn't that dog remember that dog was all evil?
Oh yeah, he was pretty evil, but
I think D'Angelo would have fucked it up.
No, we didn't have him at the time.
Yeah, I remember that dog was really mean, man. Like nobody could feed it but you. He was all
nobody. Yeah,
I thought it was all like evil and stuff. It was like
I remember I tell like when we have like parties over there, I tell the bunch of kids that don't go near that dog.
Yeah, just stay away.
He was chained up.
Yeah, he's chained up for a reason.
Like I was like, I can't remember when one of our dumb cousins was out there, and he was all like, thought he was all smooth and stuff. He was like, oh, you're not gonna do nothing. And then like he wouldn't try to go up to it to be all funny, you know, like, and all of a sudden Daniel just like charged him.
Oh.
And like he kept like, and so like he kept falling. He tried to run away, but he was running backwards, and he kept falling back, and he fell down.
Oh.
He finally fell down to the ground, and D'Angelo was like, it was funny because D'Angelo didn't try to bite his legs. He was trying to just bite at his crotch.
Oh shit! He knew what would have get him.
But the chain, luckily, the chain had stopped him. He was only like a couple inches away from him, just like grabbing at his nuts.
Oh man!
And I grabbed the kid, and I pulled him. I said, I told you not to come over here.
Yeah, you dumbass.
I was like, you guys don't need to be over here. There's all this other parts to be playing, and don't be messing with the dog.
There's lots of places to play. You don't gotta be fucking with the dog. That dog will fuck you up. Yeah, I remember that. I was saying that dog would have probably killed that rat.
Yeah, but we didn't have him at the time. He had died.
Oh, okay. So it was after D'Angelo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. It sounds like it was a good day. It was a good week. Again, you know, football season's over. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. Pulled off the upset. So it seems like it was a strange week this week. That was definitely strange that they beat them, but I'm good with that.
So everybody have a good morning, evening, or night, and we'll see you next week. Until then, stay strange.
Strange, everyone.
If you enjoy the show, please go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you're listening, and please give us a good rating. If you want to share a story or have ideas for a future episode, you're welcome to visit us at www.thestrangepodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you.